You'll be glad you saw this. During one of his podcast sessions with Duncan Trussell, Joe Rogan went into the book of Revelations. And let's just say it wasn't what he expected. What you're about to see definitely raises some questions, but it's the kind of question every believer and non-believer should ask themselves going forward. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button for more videos like this.
How long before we're a cashless society?
Hopefully forever, dude. I hope forever. I hope we never, like, it is so scary to imagine losing the privacy, losing it all completely because every transaction is in the public eye or observable. That's really scary, man. I mean, it's like, I don't even do anything interesting with my money, except tip on the road. I use my card, and I know the argument is that's traceable. I realize that. But it's scary because there's an option. If you want to just blow some cash on something, you can. You could just no one will know. It's whatever it is.
Right.
Not that I would ever use cash for anything other than legal purposes. It's just you know what I mean?
One day in the future, everything will be traceable.
That's right. And that's, this is where being raised an Episcopalian, in the book of Revelations, as a Christian, you're going to read it. This is where I get scared because it's too similar to the mark of the beast. It's too similar to exactly what it says. You won't be able to trade. You won't be able to do anything unless you have the mark, unless you bear the mark.
Mark of the beast aside, sounds kind of like a funny thing to say. Does anyone really feel like they understand what Duncan's saying here? I mean, I like the idea of being able to spend my hard-earned money without someone else keeping a watchful eye on it. I think most of you would probably agree. Yeah, the idea of carrying all that cash around can be ridiculous sometimes, but eliminating the option entirely? Now that's an entirely different ballgame. Doing what feels like stripping me of my independence and the ability to make my own choices. Sadly, if you look at the way society's going with all the digital cash, these bank policies, cryptocurrency, and so on, you'd see that we're all locked on a single destination, whether we like it or not. And if you understand that a society that thrives on a completely digital economy is easier to control, you start to ask questions like, what's the rush about going completely cashless anyway? Then you wouldn't blame Duncan for bringing up the book of Revelations. Interestingly, Joe himself picks up interest as well.
What is that in that term, how is that described? How is the mark of the beast described in the Bible? We should read it, because I think you're onto something. Then I saw another beast rising out of the earth. It had two horns like a lamb, and it spoke like a dragon. It exercises all the authority of the first beast in its presence, and makes the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, whose mortal wound was healed. It performs great signs, even making fire come down from the heaven to earth in front of people. And by the signs that it allowed to work in the presence of the beast, it deceives those who dwell on earth, telling them to make an image for the beast that was wounded by the sword and yet lived. And it was allowed to give breath to the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast might even speak and might cause those who would not worship the image of the beast to be slain. It also causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark. That is the name of the beast or the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Let the one who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.
So what they're reading is Revelations 13:11-18. And as a Christian, I believe that's where we're all headed. But here's the catch. A lot of people think we're going to be seeing literal dragons and horned beasts in the streets, and I don't really think that's going to be the case. And that's why I find it interesting that Duncan chips in that ChatGPT when Joe reads about the image of the beast. Some people believe AI is going to be involved with the Antichrist's rule on Earth, whether it's as the Antichrist itself or as its image. When it comes to Revelation, Revelations, I think most people can lose track of the fact that its contents are actual revelations like visions, and it didn't come with a comprehensive interpretation. There are several instances in the Bible where the visual specifics of revelations are more spiritual than physical. Therefore, they couldn't possibly translate the same physically. Think of the image of gold in 2 Daniel, which actually stood for kingdoms, or Daniel's horned beasts in chapter 7, which also stood for kingdoms and rulers. I think understanding this can be helpful when pondering on the book of Revelations.
You know what's so wild about
What?
that stuff? Reading that is it's really clear that they spoke differently.
Yeah.
And also really clear that you're getting a translation from another language. Like,
Well-
this is the best version of the English translation they could give us.
It gets weirder when you get to the original. Like when you get to the original, because one of the reasons that seems weird is because that's a code that like it's not like it's encoded. Like there's some kind of like other thing in there.
Jimmy just pulled this up. The classical Greek word charagma, translated as mark of the beast in Revelation 13:16, can also mean any mark engraved, imprinted, or branded, stamped money, document, or coin. The mark of the beast is interpreted differently across the four main views of Christian
Eschatology.
Dude.
Well, of course, Rogan, it's an interpretation. Otherwise, you'd be reading it out in a different language. However, I find Rogan's unspoken question more important. What is the mark of the beast? He goes on to read the original Greek word for the mark of the beast and its meaning. Now, that's interesting because this blows open the gate, you know what I mean? The mark of the beast could literally be anything. And there are a lot of Christian views about this, trust me. Some people think it's a literal mark, like a tattoo, or a barcode, or a chip. In the case of Elon Musk, he might be a suspect. Others think it's more about an allegiance than a physical mark. And some are saying, hey, it gets crazier than that. We need to watch out for vaccines and crypto too. To be honest, I don't know what exactly we should be looking out for, but I know that we will know it when we see it. Whether it's a physical mark or symbolism for allegiance, one thing is certain, no one's going to buy or sell without it. Make sure you think about that as well, because if it's as simple as saying, hey, I'm with the beast, or no, I'm not with him, then that's a pretty lousy security check, don't you think?
That's a code, number one. Two, just one way to connect to it, and it helps when you're on a psychedelic, is forget about the whether or not any of it makes sense, but imagine like a mind produced that.
Yeah.
So whoever wrote that,
Yeah.
what was their consciousness like? Dude, that's some heavy shit. And it's so specific. And when you get to the original,
I think it's really funny that Duncan brings psychedelics into this. But again, that's like his shtick, so whatever. It gave me something to think about though, and that's the fact that most people severely undermine the power of their minds. Science often interests itself with portals to other dimensions. Meanwhile, everybody's got one the entire time, and that's their mind. Every truly evil thing or truly good thing someone has ever done came from their mind. And have you ever wondered what the source of that is? If you, like me, you ever ask yourself, how can a human being think to do such a thing? Then you're getting somewhere. Whether you think the beast and his mark has happened before, or if it's a revelation of a futuristic event, the truth is this. The signs are there that we're getting closer to the events Revelations describe. And what does it matter if it's happening the second time or the first time? Or if we don't see literal dragons or beasts on the streets? Please leave your thoughts in the comments down below. If you found this video interesting, you'd be doing someone a favor by sharing it with them. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.